When rejection comes, most people see it as a wall, an end, or a personal failure. They feel cut off from opportunity, love, or progress, and they allow the pain to cloud their vision. But in reality, rejection is not the end. It is a signpost pointing to another path. Think of the river. When it meets a rock, it does not stop flowing. It simply changes direction, finding a new way to reach the ocean. In the same way, when life blocks you, it is not punishing you, but guiding you. The rejection you feel today may be the very reason you discover a more fulfilling tomorrow. But only if you stop resisting and begin to listen. The closed door is not there to hurt you. It is there to remind you that another door exists. One that is meant for you to walk through with clarity. If every opportunity you wanted had been given to you, would you ever have grown? Imagine getting every job you applied for, every relationship you desired, every outcome you dreamed. Life would seem easy, but it would also make you fragile. You would never learn resilience, adaptability, or patience. Rejection develops strength. It tests your ability to stay balanced when things do not go your way. More importantly, it teaches humility. We do not control everything. We are part of a larger flow that often knows better than we do. What seems like loss in the moment can later be understood as protection. A job you did not get may have saved you from years of dissatisfaction. A person who turned you away may have made space for someone who will truly value you. Rejection, therefore, is not against you. It is the universe realigning you with what is truly yours. Think of a seed. If you plant it in soil that is too shallow, it will not grow. If you plant it in a place where the sunlight is blocked, it will wither. In that case, is the seed rejected by the earth? No. The seed simply does not belong there. In order to thrive, it must be placed in the right environment. Human beings are the same. When you are rejected from a situation, it often means you are not in the right soil. That rejection redirects you toward the conditions where your growth is possible. If you fight to remain where you are not meant to be, you will suffer. But if you accept the redirection, you will flourish. Rejection is simply the earth whispering, "This is not your place." Keep moving until you find the ground where your roots can go deep. Many times in life, rejection arrives not as a sudden blow, but as a quiet signal. A project does not progress, doors remain closed, people become distant. These are subtle rejections. Instead of forcing our way forward, it is wiser to pay attention. When water meets resistance, it does not complain. It changes course naturally. This is the wisdom we must cultivate. The energy we waste in anger or self-pity could instead be used to redirect ourselves. Each rejection, big or small, points to a lesson. This path is not your path right now. Accepting this truth does not mean giving up, it means adapting. A warrior who insists on swinging his sword against a stone wall will only break the blade. But a wise warrior studies the wall, finds the opening, and moves forward with less effort. Rejection invites us to stop wasting energy and find the opening meant for us. In relationships, rejection can be especially painful. When someone does not choose you, the heart feels betrayed. Yet rejection here is also redirection. If a person closes the door on you, they are telling you something valuable. I am not the one who can walk with you on this journey. At first, it may feel like abandonment. But with time, you see the gift. If they had stayed, perhaps they would have limited your growth or drained your spirit. Their rejection freed you, though it felt like loss. In truth, it created space for self-discovery, for healthier bonds, for love that aligns with who you really are. Rejection in love is never the end of love. It is simply the clearing of a path so that real connection can arrive. Every no from another is a silent yes to your own deeper journey. Rejection can also come from within. Sometimes you reject yourself. You look at your abilities, your ideas, or your dreams, and you decide, I am not good enough, I cannot succeed. This inner rejection is perhaps the most dangerous because it kills the seed before it has the chance to sprout. But even here, there is redirection. Self-doubt can serve as a mirror. It shows you where you lack confidence, where you must build discipline, where your foundation is not yet strong. Instead of letting self-rejection defeat you, treat it as a signal. Strengthen yourself. Train harder. Refine your skills. When you do, the doubt will transform into determination. In this way, even rejection from yourself can redirect you, not into despair, but into preparation. It teaches you that growth is not instant, and that readiness is a process. When a door closes, you have two choices: stare at it endlessly or turn and look for another. Too often, people stare. They relive the rejection again and again, replaying the hurt, the anger, the confusion. But the longer you stare at a closed door, the less energy you have to walk toward the open one. Acceptance is the key. To accept does not mean you agree with what happened. It simply means you stop fighting reality. And once you stop fighting, you are free to move. Every rejection creates an empty space. If you do not fill that space with bitterness, it will be filled with opportunity. Life is always offering something new, but only to the one who is willing to move forward. The door that closed has already taught you its lesson. Now, turn your head and see the door that waits to be opened. History is full of examples where rejection became the foundation of greatness. Many inventors, artists, and thinkers were dismissed, ignored, or even ridiculed. Yet those very rejections pushed them to refine their vision, to persist, and to find audiences who were ready to receive their work. Imagine if they had given up after the first. No, the world would be emptier. Their rejections redirected them to discover their true strength. Rejection is not evidence of your lack of worth. It is evidence that you are trying, moving, seeking. If you never face rejection, it means you are not daring enough. The greatest lives are filled with many no's before the final yes, so each rejection is a step forward. It clears the path, removing options that were never meant for you, until the right one stands before you. To see rejection as redirection requires trust. Trust in life, trust in timing, trust in yourself. Without trust, you will always see rejection as cruelty. With trust, you see it as wisdom. Consider the archer. When the arrow is pulled back, it feels like it is moving in the wrong direction, away from the target. But in truth, that backward pull is necessary for the arrow to fly forward with strength. Rejection works the same way. The setback is not punishment, it is preparation. You are being positioned, stretched, and refined, so that when the right opportunity comes, you are ready to move with full force. Trust allows you to wait without bitterness. Trust allows you to move without fear. And in this trust, rejection becomes your ally, not your enemy. In the end, rejection is not something to fear, it is something to embrace. Every no is a teacher, every closed door is a guide. If you can learn to accept rejection as redirection, you will never again be broken by it. Instead, you will become stronger, wiser, and more patient. Life's path is not straight, it is full of turns and obstacles. But the very obstacles you resist are the ones shaping your journey. When you are rejected, bow in gratitude. Say to yourself, this was not my path, but another one awaits me. Then keep walking. For in the end, the only true rejection is when you reject yourself by refusing to move forward. Accept rejection. Trust the redirection. And you will find that life never takes away without giving something greater in return. The ego is like a shadow, it follows you everywhere, yet it is not who you truly are. Most suffering begins when people mistake this shadow for their real self. The ego craves recognition, control, and superiority. It whispers that you must always be right, always win, always receive praise. When life does not provide these things, the ego reacts with anger, jealousy, or despair. To detach from ego does not mean to destroy it completely. It means to stop obeying it blindly. When you learn to observe the ego instead of identifying with it, a new freedom arises. You are no longer enslaved by every insult or compliment. Instead, you remain calm, steady, and clear, like a mountain unmoved by the passing clouds. Detaching from ego is not weakness. It is the strength to live with peace, no matter what storms surround you. Imagine standing before a mirror. The reflection you see is not you, but only an image. In the same way, the ego is a reflection. It shows what you want the world to believe about you. Some polish this reflection endlessly, trying to appear successful, beautiful, or important. But in doing so, they forget the one who is looking into the mirror. They lose touch with the authentic self behind the image. Detaching from ego means turning away from the mirror and remembering your true essence. You are not the titles you hold, the wealth you gather, or the approval you seek. All of these can vanish in an instant. What remains is the deeper self, silent, present, and unshaken. The more you chase the reflection, the more empty you feel. But the moment you let go of the reflection, you return to the fullness of your being. The ego thrives on comparison. It constantly measures itself against others. Am I better? Am I worse? Do I have more? Do they respect me? This endless cycle of measuring creates anxiety. Even if you win today, tomorrow someone else will appear stronger, richer, or more talented. The ego will never be satisfied. But the self beyond ego does not compare. It knows that every person has a unique path, just as every tree grows in its own direction. The oak does not compete with the pine, nor does the river envy the mountain. They simply exist, fully themselves. To detach from ego is to step out of comparison and into acceptance. You begin to value your journey without measuring it against another's. And in this freedom, you find joy not only in your own progress, but also in the success of others, without jealousy or resentment. Ego makes you reactive. When someone criticizes you, the ego feels attacked, and it pushes you to defend, argue, or retaliate. When someone praises you, the ego inflates, and you may cling to that praise as proof of your worth. But both are chains. Whether it is insult or praise, if your peace depends on them, you are still trapped. Detachment means learning to receive both with balance. Criticism can be seen as feedback, not as an attack. Praise can be appreciated, but not worshipped. In martial arts, a skilled fighter is not carried away by emotion. They remain centered, responding wisely instead of reacting impulsively. Life is the same. When you detach from ego, you move through conflict with clarity, no longer controlled by the opinions of others. You become like water, flexible, adaptable, yet impossible to hold down or wound. Detaching from ego also transforms relationships. Ego wants to dominate, to win arguments, to always be right. It builds walls of pride that separate one heart from another. Many friendships and families suffer not because of lack of love, but because of too much ego. One person refuses to apologize. Another refuses to forgive. Both are trapped in pride, and connection is lost. But when you step outside the ego, you see clearly being right is less important than being at peace. Winning is less important than harmony. Detachment allows humility. You can apologize without shame. You can forgive without conditions. This humility is not weakness. It is strength that comes from freedom. The ego is heavy, always demanding. But when you let go of it, relationships become lighter, filled with understanding, patience, and genuine respect. Consider the mountain. It does not boast about its height, nor does it feel small next to another mountain. It simply stands, rooted in its being. This is the way of a life free from ego. Detachment allows you to live as yourself, without needing constant validation. You no longer waste energy proving your worth, because you know worth is already within you. Ego makes you restless, always running after achievements to fill an inner emptiness. But when you detach, you discover the emptiness was only an illusion. Peace is already present. Fulfillment is already here. Just as the mountain does not seek approval, you do not need the world to confirm your value. Your existence itself is enough. Detaching from ego is returning to this natural state, quiet, steady, and complete. The ego also hides in ambition. It tells you achieve more, climb higher, never rest until the world admires you. Ambition in itself is not wrong, growth and progress are natural. But when ambition is driven by ego, it becomes endless hunger. No matter how much you achieve, it will never be enough. Detachment teaches you to pursue goals with clarity, but without attachment. You can strive, but you are not defined by success or failure. When the outcome comes, you accept it with balance. This is the true freedom to give your best effort, yet remain peaceful no matter the result. Like the archer who releases the arrow, once it leaves the bow, it is no longer in his control. Ego clings to the target. Detachment focuses only on the practice, the discipline, and the growth that comes along the way. Ego often disguises itself as strength. It makes you feel powerful when you dominate, when you win, when you are praised. But true strength is not in dominance. It is in self-mastery. To control others is temporary. To control yourself is eternal. Detachment is this mastery. When you detach, you no longer act out of insecurity or pride. You act from clarity, compassion, and wisdom. The strongest warrior is not the one who defeats countless enemies, but the one who conquers his own ego. This victory cannot be taken away because it is internal. The ego will always whisper, trying to pull you back into its grip. But with awareness, you can smile at its games and remain free. The strength of detachment is calmness in chaos, humility in success, and resilience in failure. That is true power. To detach from ego requires daily practice. Awareness is the first step. Watch your thoughts when someone disagrees with you. Notice the anger that rises when your pride is hurt. Observe the craving for recognition when you achieve something. Do not fight these feelings, simply notice them. The moment you notice, you are no longer fully controlled by them. Slowly, you learn to pause before reacting. You learn to breathe before speaking. You learn to let go of the need to prove yourself. Meditation, self-reflection, and mindful living are tools that train this awareness. Over time, ego loses its grip. It is still there, but it no longer rules you. Just as a storm may rage outside, yet within your home you remain warm and dry. You build an inner space untouched by ego's winds. That inner space is your true freedom. In the end, detaching from ego is about returning to your essence. Ego is loud, always demanding, always restless. The true self is quiet, present, and unchanging. When you let go of ego, you discover the stillness within you. Life becomes lighter because you no longer carry the heavy burden of pride, comparison, and insecurity. You move through the world with calm confidence, knowing you do not need to prove or defend anything. This is liberation. Ego makes you a prisoner of endless desires. Detachment sets you free. To live without ego is to live in harmony with yourself, with others, and with life itself. Remember, the shadow may follow you, but you are not the shadow. You are the light that casts it. Walk in that light, and the grip of ego will dissolve into silence. Pain is often the first language life speaks when it wants to teach us something important. At first, we resist it. We ask, why me? Why now? But in truth, pain is not cruelty, it is communication. Just as fire burns to warn us of danger, pain arrives to guide us toward growth. Without pain, we would never stop touching the flame, never question our choices, never seek transformation. The body uses pain to protect itself. The spirit does the same. Every disappointment, every loss, every failure is a message. Instead of running from it, listen. Within pain lies instruction assigned to slow down, to change direction, to strengthen what is weak, or to release what no longer serves us. Pain may be the teacher we fear the most, but it is also the teacher that refuses to let us remain blind. If life were only comfort, how would we develop resilience? Muscles grow stronger by being torn through effort, not by allowing in stillness. In the same way, the mind and spirit strengthen when they are stretched by pain. Consider the bamboo. It bends under heavy wind, but does not break. Its strength is born from its flexibility. Human beings too learn flexibility through pain. A loss teaches us compassion for others who suffer. A rejection builds patience. A failure cultivates humility. Without these lessons, we remain fragile, easily broken by life's smallest challenges. Pain is not an enemy but a training ground. It strips away arrogance, exposes weakness, and demands growth. The lesson hidden in pain is that strength cannot be borrowed. It must be forged. And only by walking through discomfort do we discover how unshakable we truly are. There are two ways to face pain: resistance or acceptance. Resistance magnifies suffering. It is like holding a burning coal tightly. You feel every spark, every flame, because you refuse to let go. Acceptance, on the other hand, cools the fire. You still feel the heat, but it no longer consumes you. This is the deeper lesson pain offers. Suffering is not only about what happens to you, but how you respond to it. Many people carry the same wound, yet one emerges bitter while another emerges wise. The difference is perspective. Pain invites you to see beyond the surface, to ask, what is this teaching me? How is this shaping me? In acceptance, you transform pain from punishment into guidance. You stop asking why me and begin asking what now? That shift turns suffering into a stepping stone instead of a stumbling block. Physical pain is often easier to accept because it is visible. A broken bone, a wounded hand, an injury, they can be seen and treated. Emotional pain, however, is hidden and therefore feels heavier. When the heart breaks or trust is betrayed, there are no bandages, no visible scars. Yet emotional pain carries some of the most powerful lessons. It teaches us about attachment, vulnerability, and resilience of the heart. When someone we love leaves, the emptiness teaches us to find strength within ourselves. When trust is broken, we learn to see with clarity instead of naivety. Emotional pain reminds us that no external bond can replace inner stability. In learning to heal unseen wounds, we become more compassionate toward others. We recognize that everyone carries silent battles, and through this recognition, we grow more patient, more forgiving, and more kind. Pain also teaches impermanence. In the moment, suffering feels eternal, like a storm that will never pass. But no pain lasts forever. Just as seasons change, winter eventually gives way to spring. When you observe carefully, you will notice that even the heaviest sorrow slowly lightens with time. This truth is a profound lesson. Nothing in life is permanent, not even pain. When you accept impermanence, you stop drowning in despair. You begin to see pain not as a life sentence, but as a temporary passage. This awareness also makes you cherish joy more deeply. You realize that happiness too is fleeting, so you savor it when it arrives. Impermanence frees you from clinging to what is pleasant and from fearing what is painful. Both are passing clouds, and you remain the sky. Pain teaches this truth better than any book or teacher could. The greatest lessons in pain often come from failure. When we fall short, the ego feels wounded. Yet failure is simply feedback. It shows where we must improve, what we must learn, and which path is not ours. Think of the blacksmith forging steel. The metal is heated, hammered, and cooled repeatedly. Without this process, it remains brittle. Failure is the hammer and fire shaping us. Every mistake reveals a weakness. Every setback refines discipline. Every fall teaches balance. If you avoid failure because you fear pain, you avoid growth as well. The lesson is clear: failure is not the opposite of success. It is part of it. Pain is the cost of wisdom, and failure is the path to mastery. Those who embrace the sting of falling are the ones who eventually rise with unshakable strength and clarity. Pain also humbles the ego. When life wounds us, the illusion of control dissolves. We realize that no matter how powerful, wealthy, or intelligent we think we are still vulnerable. This realization is not meant to diminish us. It is meant to balance us. Humility is born when pain cracks the armor of pride. It teaches us that we are not invincible, that we need others, and that compassion is more valuable than dominance. When you have walked through pain, you no longer look down on others. You no longer judge their struggles as weakness, because you have felt your own. Pain levels the ground between people, reminding us of our shared humanity. In this way, Pain is not only a personal lesson but also a social one. It creates empathy, softens arrogance, and teaches the wisdom of humility. There is a hidden gift within pain. It awakens awareness. When life is comfortable, we drift through it half asleep, assuming tomorrow will be the same as today. But when pain strikes, suddenly we are awake. We question our choices, our values, our path. Pain shakes us from illusion and forces us to look deeper. A serious illness may remind someone of the fragility of life, leading them to live more meaningfully. The loss of a loved one may awaken gratitude for every breath we still have. Pain is a mirror that reflects what truly matters. Without it, we would continue wasting time on trivial concerns, chasing shadows instead of essence. Though it hurts, pain is also clarity. It strips away distractions and brings us face to face with truth. And truth, no matter how difficult, always sets us free. But to truly learn from pain, one must not run from it. Many numb themselves through distractions, endless entertainment, substances, or denial. But avoidance only prolongs suffering. Pain ignored becomes pain repeated. The lesson keeps returning until we are willing to face it. To sit with pain is not easy, but it is transformative. It teaches patience, courage, and endurance. By sitting with it, you begin to see that pain is not infinite. It rises, peaks, and fades like a wave. Each time you endure consciously, your capacity grows. You discover that the pain does not destroy you, it strengthens you. Avoidance keeps you weak, but presence makes you strong. The lesson hidden in pain is not in running away, but in meeting it fully, allowing it to carve depth into your soul. Depth that later becomes wisdom, compassion, and peace. In the end, pain is not punishment, it is preparation. It is not the enemy, it is the hidden guide. Every scar carries a story, and every story carries a teaching. If you look back on your life, you will see that the moments of deepest growth often followed moments of deepest pain. This is the secret. Pain is a doorway. You can choose to remain outside, cursing the threshold, or you can step through and discover what lies beyond. When you embrace pain as teacher, you stop fearing it. Instead, you bow to it, learn from it, and allow it to shape you into someone stronger, wiser, and more compassionate. The lesson hidden in pain is simple, but profound. Life does not hurt you to break you. It hurts you to awaken you. And once you awaken, the pain has already served its purpose. Acceptance is not resignation. It is not saying, I give up. Acceptance is recognition. This is the reality before me, and I choose to see it clearly. Most suffering comes not from events themselves, but from resistance to them. We argue with life, demanding it to be different than it is. But no matter how much we fight, reality does not bend to our will. Acceptance is the moment you stop wasting energy on resistance. It is the moment you stop struggling against the river and begin to flow with it. This does not mean passivity, it means clarity. When you accept what is, you conserve your strength for wise action instead of endless denial. The paradox is simple. Only when you fully accept reality do you gain the freedom to change it. Imagine holding a rope that is tied to a horse running wildly. The harder you pull, the more you are dragged, cut, and burned by the rope. But the moment you let go, you stop suffering. This is acceptance. Many people hold on to the rope of expectations, of control, of resentment. They are dragged across life, wounded by their refusal to release. But once you accept, you let go of the rope. The situation may still be challenging, but your suffering eases. Acceptance gives you freedom from unnecessary pain. It does not mean the horse stops running, but it means you stop being dragged. With this release comes peace, and from peace, the strength to choose your next step wisely. Without acceptance, freedom is impossible, because you are always bound by what you refuse to let go. Acceptance also means making peace with imperfection. The ego craves control, perfection, and certainty. It wants life, people, and circumstances to follow its script. But reality rarely obeys. People disappoint us, plans fail, and conditions shift without warning. When we cannot accept imperfection, we live in constant frustration. But when we accept it, freedom arrives. You stop demanding the world to be flawless, and instead, you embrace it as it is. A cracked cup can still hold water. A cloudy day can still bring nourishment to the earth. Likewise, a flawed life can still be full of meaning. Acceptance allows you to release perfectionism and live fully, even amidst imperfection. This is not laziness, it is wisdom. Freedom is not found in controlling every detail, it is found in walking gracefully with life's unpredictability. The freedom that comes from acceptance is also freedom from the past. Many people carry old wounds, regrets, and mistakes like heavy stones. They replay memories, wishing they could change what cannot be undone. But holding on does not rewrite history. It only chains you to it. Acceptance is the key that breaks these chains. To accept the past is to say, yes, it happened. Yes, it hurt. But I no longer allow it to define me. This does not erase the memory, but it removes its power to control your present. When you accept, you free yourself from the weight of what if and if only. You begin to live in the only time you ever truly have the present. And in the present, you discover lightness, space, and possibility. Acceptance is the bridge that carries you out of yesterday and into now. Acceptance also applies to the self. Many live in quiet war with themselves, rejecting their flaws, weaknesses, and scars. They wear masks to hide what they dislike, always chasing approval from others. But self-rejection is the deepest prison. True freedom begins when you accept yourself, not as a perfect being, but as a work in progress. Acceptance does not mean complacency, it means honesty. It means looking at your strengths and weaknesses without judgment, knowing both are part of your humanity. When you accept yourself, you stop exhausting your energy pretending. You live authentically, and authenticity is freedom. The mask may impress others, but it suffocates the wearer. Acceptance removes the mask, allowing you to breathe. You can then grow not from shame, but from self-respect. This shift transforms the inner prison into a sanctuary of peace and possibility. In relationships, acceptance is what makes love unconditional. Ego says, I will love you if you change. I will respect you when you meet my expectations. This is not love, it is a contract. True love is rooted in acceptance. It sees the imperfections, the struggles, the differences, and still chooses to stay present. This acceptance creates freedom for both people, the freedom to be themselves without fear of constant judgment. It does not mean tolerating harm or abuse, but it does mean allowing others to walk their own path without trying to control them. When you accept another person as they are, you release yourself from the burden of constant disappointment. You no longer fight reality, you embrace it. And in that embrace, love deepens, not because it is blind, but because it is courageous enough to see clearly and still remain open. Acceptance is also freedom from fear. Much fear is born from resisting uncertainty. We want guarantees. Will this work out? Will I succeed? Will I be safe? But life offers no such assurances. The future is always unknown. When you resist this truth, anxiety grows. But when you accept uncertainty, you discover peace. Acceptance does not give you control over the future, but it removes the terror of not knowing. You accept that whatever comes, you will face it with resilience. This surrender does not weaken you, it empowers you. The sailor does not control the wind, but by accepting its direction, he learns to sail skillfully. Likewise, you cannot control life, but by accepting its unpredictability, you free yourself from fear and learn to move gracefully with change. This is true freedom, not from uncertainty, but within uncertainty. Acceptance also creates inner stillness. When you resist, the mind is full of noise, endless questions, complaints, and battles with reality. But when you accept, the noise quiets, you stop arguing with life and silence arises. This stillness is not emptiness, it is clarity. From it, wisdom grows. When the lake is stormy, you cannot see its bottom. But when the water becomes still, the depth is revealed. Similarly, when your mind accepts reality, You see clearly what must be done. Action born from stillness is more effective than action born from resistance. You do not waste energy fighting shadows. You conserve your strength for what truly matters. This is freedom, the ability to act from clarity instead of chaos. Acceptance creates this stillness, and stillness unlocks the wisdom that guides your steps with peace. Acceptance is not passive, it is powerful. Many mistake it for weakness, as if accepting means surrendering to fate. But in truth, acceptance is the foundation of transformation. You cannot change what you refuse to acknowledge. By accepting reality, you place your feet firmly on solid ground. Only then can you move forward. A doctor cannot heal a wound that the patient denies exists. Likewise, you cannot heal parts of life you reject. Acceptance gives you freedom to take real action, because you are no longer blinded by denial. From acceptance comes responsibility, and from responsibility comes change. The paradox is this: by embracing what is, you gain the power to shape what will be. This is why acceptance is not weakness. It is the highest form of strength, because it opens the door to freedom and authentic transformation. Ultimately, acceptance is the path to liberation. When you stop resisting, you discover life as it is, not as you wish it to be. In that discovery, you are free. Free from the chains of the past. Free from the fear of the future. Free from the war against imperfection. Acceptance creates space in which peace can live. It allows you to walk lightly, without the burden of constant struggle. This freedom is not given by the world, it is created within you. Life will still bring challenges, losses, and uncertainty. But with acceptance, these no longer enslave you. You remain open, steady, and unafraid. The greatest freedom is not found in escaping reality, but in embracing it fully. Acceptance is the key. With it, every moment becomes livable. Every burden becomes lighter, and every step becomes a step in freedom.